a knife and an umbrella at the same time, apparently.
I suppose so. I've got a caller on the line who has a question for you, so I'm going to go to him first, and then because he's been holding a while, and then I want to come back to your article. Okay. All right. So Okay. Thank you, Abe. Let's go first to John. You have a question for Abe, and thank you for calling.
Hey, Abe, how you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Excellent. Recently I heard that UNESCO had declared that I think it was your Wailing Wall as being under jurisdiction now. Is that correct?
Well, what they did...
Abe,
good. Yeah.
Let me jump in real quick. UNESCO, for you people out there who don't know, is a UN organization. I don't know what the ESCO stands for, but it's United Nations something, isn't it, Abe?
Yeah, I can tell you what it is.
Education and social...
Education, science, and cultural organization.
There you go.
There you go.
All right. Okay, go ahead, Abe.
Okay.
They like those long titles.
UNESCO... there was a proposal to take a couple of Jewish holy sites. The other is what's called the Cave of the Patriarchs, which is in Hebron, and that is according to Jewish tradition, the burial place of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Sarah, Rebecca, and it was decided to claim these places as Islamic sites. These are now officially, as far as the UN is concerned, and apparently they lost their nerve. They thought that was going too far. As far as they're concerned, is still a Jewish.
According to Islam, everything is Muslim, right? At the end of the day, or will be made so. John, go ahead. You want to follow up with Abe?
Well, yeah, it's kind of like a stranger coming up to your house and saying they're taking title to your land.
Very much like that.
And I got to tell you, this Land for Peace stuff,
yeah, it's a pipe dream. It's an illusion, but it's all they have to cling to. Thank you, John. I appreciate the call. And we're going to kind of come back to that, but I want to go back to your article, Abe. You were talking about Hillary Clinton and her record being very stained, to say the least, and her relations with Israel and what she's done during the Obama administration. What about Bernie Sanders? You spoke about him, and I love the way you described him. You called him rumpled and authentic.
I think that's him.
It is.
He's real. He's the real deal. He's acting. It's not calculated. It's not poll-driven. And the only problem is what it is that he believes in. And, he's an out-and-out socialist. He is, in Israel, they're just learning about him. And one of the things that, of course, is fascinating to people in Israel is that Sanders is Jewish, and very obviously the hand gestures and the accent, I mean, this really screams born in Brooklyn. And he also he apparently did live on a kibbutz in Israel back in the many. That are not so controversial. Unfortunately, when the chips are down, he's got other positions. And for instance, last summer during the Gaza war, he was out criticizing Israel for attacks that he said killed many women and children, and called the Israel's bombing disproportionate and completely unacceptable. Now, remember, this was Israel counterattacking the
rockets
Strip when Hamas was launching something like 5,000 rockets at Israel.
Right.
So I'm not sure exactly what proportionate and acceptable means in those in that context. He's also he wouldn't sign a resolution expressing support for Israel in its war with Hamas. Considered very warm toward AIPAC. AIPAC is not a huge fan of his, and in fact, last winter when there was the controversy over Prime Minister Netanyahu coming to speak to Congress, Sanders was actually the first senator to announce that he would boycott.
Right. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
And of course he and Hillary both support the Iran nuclear deal, which
he is wholeheartedly. He doesn't just support it; he's wholeheartedly behind it over here. Now the only one left. I was kind of surprised that Jim Webb didn't have a very good record in his voting in terms of Israel, supporting Israel. But I guess he's no longer in it, so it kind of doesn't matter. But Martin O'Malley, just real quick with O'Malley, just give us the lowdown on him.
Very little record. He's, he was a local politician, so
right.
He doesn't have any track record in terms of votes or anything.
Right.
He did come out either yesterday or today, though, and called on both sides, Palestinians and Israelis, to take steps to curb the violence. And that kind of, moral equivalence, even-handedness doesn't go down well in Israel.
No, and that he's just parroting what Obama administration is saying. I want to get to that here in just a minute. Many Jews, especially in South Florida and New York, are strong supporters of the Democratic Party. Are they going to be jazzed up by Hillary, even given her, spotty record, to say the least?
Well, they were jazzed by Obama, even the second time around when he already had a track record. I think that the treat.
I sort of want to wrap three questions into one, if I can here, and if you could kind of give us an update on the current unrest over there. Also, I understand now the Islamic State is directly threatening Israel and sort of encouraging what's going on, the violence going on over there. And then John Kerry was over there last Thursday meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu, and then over the weekend, I guess, with the King of Jordan and others, I guess Abbas. and then I saw there was some sort of agreement on use of who can go pray at the mosque. So if you can just give us a nutshell, composite of what's going on over there, including all those things.
Okay. There are still multiple stabbings every day, or at least stabbing attempts. There, fortunately, have lately been a few Jewish fatalities. Most of the attackers have been neutralized, which means either injured or killed during their attacks.
Good.
One thing that's kind of disturbing news is that there were 3 Jews stabbed in France. And that's a development that, that could be worrisome if that starts to catch on, if it starts to catch on through Europe. In terms of ISIS, yeah, they've been trying to promote violence against Israel and promote these attacks. So is Hamas. I don't know that ISIS is having that much of an impact. It's hard to say, but the shooter in the Beersheba bus station last week, I think we discussed that, was actually said to be an ISIS member.
Oh wow, we didn't.
An Israeli Arab, but apparently an adherent to ISIS.
That's something new. Yeah.
Yeah. Now John Kerry came to the area. I'm not sure exactly what he accomplished, which is kind of typical for when he comes to the area.
I was going to say par for the course.
Yeah. The one thing he got, he met with the King of Jordan and with the leaders of Israel and the Palestinian Authority, and apparently Palestinians had the idea or any kind of disturbances.
Right.
And Israel's reaction was, sure. We're not the ones who have been doing any of this here. The Palestinians are claiming that this is a trap. I don't know why cameras are a trap, but that's.
Police officers over here to have body cams because they're just out there trapping people, right? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Please finish your thought, though.
Yeah, the sorts of expressions that are coming out of on the Palestinian side have gotten increasingly shrill. One of the Palestinian political leaders claims that there was an assassination attempt by what he says were Israeli agents. I don't know how he would have known.
Right.
Also, I think that if they were Israeli agents, he wouldn't be around to make that claim.
Right.
And also, the vice chair of the Islamic movement in Israel, when asked about the Al-Aqsa Mosque, has now insisted that it was actually built by angels at the time of Adam. And that there was never any Jewish temple on the site. That that the mosque has been there forever, which kind of makes you wonder what it was that they were worshiping there for the first 4,000 until Muhammad showed up.
I think that person may be spending some time talking with Louis Farrakhan and sharing fantasies, right? Hey, Abe, Al has a question for you. I have one more. You have to answer Al's question. Al, thank you for calling and holding. Your question for Abe Katsman, please.
Yes, sir. If 5,000 rockets from Palestinians didn't kill one Israeli, but Israeli bombed the heck out of Palestinians, killing hundreds, don't you consider that disproportionate?
Abe? Well, first of all, there were, I believe, 71 Israelis killed, including several civilians.
And children, too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. The only reason that the numbers were not way, way higher is that Israel had the Iron Dome system in place, and they were able to knock out most of these rockets before they landed on populated areas. The numbers would have been who knows how high. Many hundreds of lives were saved by the Iron Dome.
And isn't it true?
Apparently,
go ahead, Dave. Yeah, finish your thought.
I was going to say, Hamas, in contrast, instead of developing something like an Iron Dome, developed offensive rockets which have one purpose, which is to kill Israeli civilians.
Yeah.
So, when they launch the rockets, I'm not sure what you want as a proportionate response.
And as a matter of fact, the Israeli response was to go after the launch sites of the rockets, not to just go. And if I'm not mistaken, Abe, didn't you tell us that they would call people on the phone and tell them we're getting ready to blow up your house, get the hell out of there?
There were several methods of warning civilians to get out of the way when there was a bombing coming. There was they would call what was called knocking on the roof, which was basically dropping that was on the roof of the building, and then the knock would warn people that there's bigger stuff coming.
Yeah.
There were flyers dropped when in certain places, and they would call people on their phone and tell them to get out, that there was a strike coming. So they went out of their way to avoid civilians.
The reason there were so many Palestinians killed is because that's what the Palestinian terrorists wanted. And they got what they wanted. And unfortunately, Al, they've convinced you of the wrong perspective in the process.